Good morning, everyone. I will just, it's 10:30 now. Just letting a few more people in who registered in the waiting room. So we'll get started in just another moment. Okay, well, we've got almost 30 people on the call. I think that's most of everybody who registered this week. So good morning, everyone, and welcome. This is our Arts Build weekly, well, now bi-monthly Zoom gathering. So we are happy to see everybody and hope everybody is doing well. My name is Catherine Roth, and I'm Director of Development at Arts Build. Typically, James McKissick leads these Zoom meetings, but both he and Miriam are serving all morning on the Tennessee Arts Commission's ABC Grants Panel review. So they are committed to that this morning and are sorry to miss, but so I will just kind of lead our meeting today. And we have a special guest today, Sarah Moore from Four Bridges Arts Festival. She's the director of the festival, and she is going to talk to us a little bit about their plans for the festival in September. And they have had to really rethink and reimagine how the festival happens. And so we're excited to hear what's in store for the festival in September. And then we also have Robert Winslow, who is going to give us a quick update on the Dialogues Chattanooga project, and I think share a video trailer with us, which will be fun. So yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and get started. I'll turn it over to you, Sarah. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I think you're going to share your screen. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think before I share my screen, let's see here. I will, hold one sec. Sorry, I am trying to get my computer all working. So before we get going with everything that's happening with the festival, I want Jen Lewis, who's the executive director of AVA, and I to talk a little bit about what this year has been like for us. The pandemic started in March, which was a month out from our original festival dates in April. And so in March, we had to make pretty hasty plans to postpone, and we chose September, which in March seemed safely far out, and like we had plenty of time to make plans for that. That has changed over the summer. But Jen, do you want to hop in and just talk a little bit about what the year's been like for AVA and how we've been working financially and getting emergency loans and stuff?
Yeah, sure. So hello, everybody. I'm Jen Lewis. I'm the executive director over at AVA. So the Four Bridges Arts Festival is our largest event, and it is the event that allows us to provide services throughout the year. It provides anywhere between 67 to 73% of our revenue each year, depending on our budget. So that's a huge amount of revenue. It helps cover our salaries, our free programs we offer, including our exhibitions. So going into this year, with March happening, going into this new fiscal year, we realized pretty quickly that we were going to have to pivot not only our programs, but our budget as well, to try to figure out how we were going to make it through the year. The first thing that we did, of course, was we immediately started putting things online. And I began looking at different grants, SPA loans, the PPP loans, which ArtsBuild really kind of helped us walk through and get those PPP loan documents in place. And then now I've been working with the SBA loan to get it going. So the good news is that we're going to make it through this year, and we will be able to come out on the other end stronger than this. But we really had to reimagine how we deliver our services in terms of our events, online events, our social media platform, and how we were going to reach our constituents. So that's been a really tough time, a really challenging, but our board has really stepped up and helped us figure out some of this, along with our staff, which is Sarah and then Cornisha Whiteside, who is our curator, and has curated more virtual exhibits than I ever thought possible at this point. It has been great. Do you guys have any questions about what I've done so far, what we've done so far with Ava, and how we've pivoted our budget? I'll take that as a no. So I'll let Sarah start with the socio and what we're going to be doing for our festival to bring it to the public in September.
Okay, so when we made the choice back in March to postpone, we originally gave our artists a couple of choices at that time. We said you can either you could either defer we were also already in a really good spot in March because the artists had already paid for their booths through us already. So we had all of the artists' booth payments already in. And so in March, when everything started shutting down, we were able to offer options. So we said you can either defer your booth payment to our September festival. You can defer your booth payment to the 2021 festival, which will be in April, or we can give you a refund. And so we had everybody go through those three options, made a big spreadsheet, color-coded everybody, got everything sorted out, began marching forward, looking at having a live event in September. In late June, early July, we were talking to the city about our permit. Since the festival's held in the First Horizon Pavilion, we also closed down Reggie White Boulevard in front of that. Reggie White Boulevard is city property, obviously. The pavilion has some city ownership, but is a different entity, and so it's controlled differently. So the city issues the permit for closing the street down. In late June, early July, the city gave us sort of a tentative go-ahead that they would go ahead and approve the permit. We could move forward with the festival, but we had a lot of guidelines in place as far as planning out how to social distance people, how to space booths out, cut down food vendors, keep everybody in masks, and do a bunch of things with the live festival that would make it safe for people during the weird times. So we started making all of those plans. We were working with Friends of the Festival, who we work with to do all of our event logistics, did a huge event plan, reworked our booth layout for the pavilion, all of this. Toward the end of July, the city was looking at the numbers of cases each day and said, look, the cases have not come down the way we wanted to, even after the mask mandate was put in place. School's about to start. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't issue that permit anymore. We're going to have to pull that permit. So when the city said that, that gave us sort of a trigger. if the city doesn't want to have us using their property, and we know that there's guidelines in place about doing large events, it's probably just not safe for us to have the event. And so we started looking really heavily then. We'd already been planning to use the app in place of our usual printed program guide, but we started then looking at, okay, we have to make the entire thing virtual and shift the whole thing now to a virtual festival. So that's where we are. The app we're using is a company called Socio. There are not very many platforms. There's one that I found specifically built with art festivals in mind. It's a company called Booth Central. And I watched a demo with Booth Central, and their product's great, but they would have had us have our artists reapply for the show through them and kind of rebuild the show through them. And I don't need to do that. Like, we already had our artists apply, get juried in, pay for their booths through the system we already use. We use a system called Zapplication, which takes care of all of that. We do our application, our jurying, our payments all through that program. Most big art festivals around the country use Zapplication for all of those things. It's a very well-known product. So when I looked at Booth Central's product for a festival, it was more repetition of work than I needed. And so I started looking at other companies that do event apps, and I landed on Socio. And Socio originally built their business around creating products for like large conferences. But it's built so that they have a vendor section where you can look through all of your vendors. They have a sponsor section. You can live stream. You can make games out of things. And they have worked with arts festivals, especially this year, to try to pivot things into the virtual platform. And so we decided to go with Socio. It works pretty well for us. They also have really wonderful tech support service and can do live chat tech with us sort of whenever it's needed. So they're great. So I've gone through the process of getting us into the Apple app developer system, and I'm working on building the app out right now. This is just kind of what their platform looks like. But I will also take you into our actual platform, what we are doing. So this is what I'm building right now. We've got our logo and our poster image here. This is done by an artist named Kelsey Merkel, who lives in New York. But you can see that I've built out, this is the preview of what the app page will look like over here on the right. We'll have our artists. Each artist will have their own sort of virtual booth. It'll have images of their work. It'll have a link to their own website where they do online sales. It'll have a way to contact them via email. And we can also support videos from those artists if they would like to do either a live chat with me about their work processes or do a video demonstration of how they do their work. We'll have lists of artists. We'll have a list of sponsors. And I'll show you a little bit about how I'm kind of building all of this. So this is where I've uploaded my list of artists, and I've started sort of putting in their images. So each artist has a thumbnail image of what their work looks like. So, and I've uploaded these images from that Zapplication site that I showed you earlier. When they apply to be in the festival, they have to send us 4 images of their artwork plus an image of their booth. So I've included one of those images of their artwork as their thumbnail image. And then this is all of their website and email contact information, and then I've uploaded those other images as another part of their booth. Any questions about the app, why we're using it, what it's supposed to do? There's lots of things that we're going to build into this. We want to have a lot of video content available. We can actually schedule out video content so that if you get onto the app and look at it, you can then see, okay, at noon they're going to be showing a demonstration video by this artist, and at 2 p.m. they're going to be showing a demonstration video by this artist. So we're trying to sort of build out a full virtual schedule for the festival, even though we can't be in person.
Sarah, there's a question that says, sorry if I missed this, but how does the audience access the platform through a link?
Oh, sure. So it's an app, and so you would actually get the app through either the Apple or the Android app stores. Download it'll be actually, you would actually search for Four Bridges Arts Festival in the app stores. It'll be available September the 3rd, and you just download our app, and it's a public app, so there's no sign in or anything. You just download it and open it, and that's how you get into it.
You mentioned live features, so you can do a live video with like interactive comments from people who are in the app. Is that?
We can do some live chats. I'm thinking more of live video with an artist that we can then publish. So if Carrie Pendergrass is a local artist, Carrie and I could do a Zoom conversation and stream it live into the app, so people can watch us talk about what Carrie's work process is like, how she makes her art, why she decided to do monotypes, etc.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, thank you.
Speaking of Carrie, she put a question in the chat saying, can you use it on the computer or just on phones?
I think it's just going to be on smartphones or like iPads, because it is app-based and it's only available through the app stores. So it's not terribly desktop friendly. Sorry, I'm trying to see the questions, but they're hard to see for me.
The best thing about this app is that it's allowing us to bring our artist to the community. And honestly, as you guys all are aware, artists have been really hit hard. Visual artists, all these artists that go to from festival to festival, every single festival that they've been involved in this season has been canceled. And this oftentimes the festivals are their livelihood and how they make a living throughout the year. On top of that, there has been a few festivals that have tried to happen and then they were immediately shut down by the health department or the city. And so the artists had to pack everything up and lost everything. And then I've also heard of festivals that have shut down completely and gone bankrupt, and artists have lost their money. So it's been very important to us that we work with our artists, making sure that we accommodate their needs, but then also be able to put on this virtual festival to help promote art sales.
And obviously a virtual festival is not the same thing as a live festival. We won't have the same number of people go through. I can't guarantee that every artist will have sales, but for us, and I think for our artists, it's a good compromise this year. Helps keep our brand alive so that we still have a presence this year. And for the artists, we are at least giving them some exposure. We're trying to advertise this a lot for ourselves and through our sponsors to get word out citywide that this is happening, that people can download this. We'll have a full list of the artists that they can go through. And the artists sell things at all different price points. So it's not, everything doesn't cost $500 and up. There's things starting at, $35. And so that we can cover every price point. And I see that Marsha asked how much the app will cost. The app itself will be free. Everything's free to use. And then the only cost will be if you purchase something through one of the artist stores. So we're trying to make it as accessible as possible to everyone. We will be asking for donations through the app. That's just something we have to do as a nonprofit is try to find every way we can get donations in. So we have a text to give program. We'll be linking our own donation site, but that's just, we're a nonprofit. That's what we do. So, so that'll be included. And I see Rick's question about musicians. Potentially, yes, there is a way we can live stream music, and I will get in touch with you after this. To talk to you if you are interested in maybe live streaming a performance. But yeah. But yeah, that is something we can definitely do, since we do have the ability to schedule out, live video feeds and everything. So you can also record a performance and put it up on YouTube, and we can just upload it. But we can certainly talk about things like that. But so I think it's a good opportunity for us just to kind of keep something going for our festival in Chattanooga this year. Even though other in person, it does just kind of keep everything going a little bit. Any other questions? I also want to take a quick second and just thank the sponsors of Four Bridges. Our sponsors have been amazing this year. And I mentioned earlier that since we had to postpone back in March, a month out from the festival, that we had all of our artist money, and we also had all of our sponsor money. And at that time, mostly, and our sponsors have been amazing to let us sort of keep that and pivot how we're using their sponsor money this year, which is amazing and great. And so I just want to thank our sponsors. I see a question from Angela about Socio. So we are paying for the Socio app, and it's not terribly cheap. It's like $4,500 for them to build the app for us and let us use their thing, their platform. But we're not incurring the cost of the festival this year. So while we're not making revenue from the festival, we're also not incurring a lot of the costs of the festival this year. And so we felt okay about putting that $4,500 toward that app purchase this year, to help them have us help have them develop this app for us. We'll be able to use this app this year for that fee again in April, for our April festival, in place of our program guide.
Great, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
If anybody has additional questions, feel free to put them in the chat. It's very interesting to learn about these new platforms for events. And maybe what we can do is, after Robert shares his update, those who are still on the call, we can have a few minutes just for other folks to jump in and share some examples of ways that you all are also adapting and pivoting your unique performances and events and things. So, but maybe we'll go ahead and let Robert jump in and share what he's been up to.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Winslow. I'm an independent documentary filmmaker in the community. My series, Dialogues Chattanooga, for a long time followed big civic or economic development stories in the area. And as part of trying to tell the story of how our community is going through the pandemic this year, I knew that creative reinterpretation was going to be very important. And I wanted to lift up, as you said, artists are having a very hard time through all of this, and to try to lift up their stories and their ways of, again, creatively managing in their own process. And so I really appreciate the presentation we just saw, because we too have organized a virtual exhibition of works that were created during the lockdown. And I just wanted to share with you all today a trailer for the documentary component of that, to hopefully get you all excited, and we'll be following up. So if I may share my screen, I can show it to you. Now, I just want to say that these were mostly Zoom recorded interviews, and so they're not it's not the highest audio quality, but please bear with us. Am I able to share my screen? Can you all see?
I think you should be able to. Sarah has stopped sharing hers, so I think you should be able to now.
Sorry, everybody.
I remember, kind of watching the news, watching people talk about it back in January, And then from that point on, it was like, when's it going to hit here?
I have to change to be a part of the world we now live in, because I don't honestly believe that our world is going to ever go back to the way it was before.
This was like right at the start of the pandemic when we weren't really sure what was going on. I was still working full time.
It's not about going back to where we were, because that doesn't exist, nor will it ever.
We were hit the hardest. As a result, I wanted to show the mixture of hope, but despair, anger, sadness, joy. Joy when, different things went right.
I can see those hours that they've been spending serving those that are suffering. Like, their eyes were telling me all these stories.
I didn't want to limit myself because I felt like I just needed to be free. The pandemic's very isolating. I just felt this urge to paint again.
We spend a lot of times in our homes. We're starting to look inward. We're starting to look at ourselves. We're starting to spruce. We're starting to nest. We're starting to care about everything because we're having to be forced to sit with it. You're being forced to pay attention in a way that people haven't before.
Of course, we had heard about the drive-in churches. And I had this idea very early on in March. The difference is all the openness, because we're not confined to a building. So it feels like the energy goes beyond you and it goes out into the world.
I was looking for ways how can I contribute? How can I do something?
I hope that 20 years from now, if anybody's watching this documentary, they look back and they say, they were strong. They fought. The creative community brought a smile to my face during the time. That's what we're supposed to do. I think that's our bigger calling.
We've just been trying to find ways to stay optimistic, stay hopeful, stay encouraged, getting through it day by day.
And then on top of that, being in the pandemic and being isolated and not really being able to share it, I was just really excited. So.
I don't want to be boxed in ever again.
Now, like I said, that was rough. If you want to see more as the exhibition goes live, this is my Facebook page. It's the best way to follow any updates. And I want to especially thank the collaboration with Arts Build and with Barking Legs and other support from the Community Foundation. This is, I hope, a way for us to sorry, I don't know how to stop sharing. But I hope this is a way for our community to tell the story, to know as we go through this that so much more can be possible, and that we should not be caught up in scarcity, which I feel is something that I'm worried about. So the series, as I presented, also covers ways people are responding to the eviction crisis, the needs that are created through the recession, and of course the civic response and the local public health response. Again, because as we go through this all together, any level of clarity and unity that we're able to keep, I think, is going to make all the difference. And I know that you all are leaders in that, and I'm very excited on these calls to hear how all of us are responding through this time. So thank you. I hope you get stay tuned to see the rest of it.
Thank you, Robert. Great work. Well, that is our short agenda today, but we have a few minutes. If anybody would like to, again, just sort of take a moment and just share what you've been up to, some creative ways you're working with your programs, or any other special announcements, feel free.
Good morning. Robert, that was a great video. And I just wanted to thank you for your time and effort and technological savvy to put that together for us. I've got some photos and videos also, but I didn't know if you could put your email in the chat, and I'd like to chat with you. Musically, for me, you know, it seems like it's rock bottom again as Songbirds closed, and so now it's trying to figure out how we can, you know, continue to perform via virtually or face to face, and starting back from a small place. I'm thankful for Four Bridges going to continue to go through with it, because that's what it's going to take, is that beginning. You have to keep trying. So thanks for inviting me to this meeting. Hope everyone's staying safe. And get some online lessons, ukulele, guitar, voice. Thanks.
I guess I'd like to I don't know if I'm on. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're on, Charlotte.
Okay. We have our last studio visit for a good little while this afternoon at 5 o'clock. You can find the link on our website under calendar and also on our Facebook event. But today is a Chattanooga local. We got Charlie Newton this afternoon. So if you guys want to hear a back and forth between Mike, Josiah, and Charlie, then please, you know, join us. So I just wanted to remind everybody. Thank you.
And I see some chatting about the Tennessee CARES Act funding. I know a lot of us are following along with that. Our local regional administrator, of course, is United Way. And I know there's a little bit of, it's always hard to figure out the details for these kind of quick funding programs, but I know that Abby at Venture Forward and United Way is available to answer any questions that people have around that application. And then let's see, Mary has an announcement. The National Institute of American Doll Artists is having their annual conference online. Sounds interesting. And thank you, Charlotte, for your event information. Anybody else? News or announcements?
This isn't an announcement, but I wondered, since we have a little bit of time, and if it's not appropriate, then we don't need to, but if anyone wants to share how they're, what they're doing to apply for the CARES Act, the funding, and just I don't know, creative ways that people have found that they've been able to qualify for it or think they can qualify for it. I'm just kind of curious the direction people are going. Or maybe everyone is in that same boat.
I'll just jump in. I know, they're pretty specific on the uses of the funds to be related to COVID-related expenses and COVID-related relief programs. So, for example, Arts Build is going to apply kind of in line with the expenses that we had setting up the Artist Emergency Fund recently. And also we are trying to pivot our Imagine education program, in fact, to some new virtual opportunities since field trips won't be happening and we have some expenses that will be incurred for that. So that's how we are going to position our proposal. But I know it's it can get tricky and confusing exactly what is an eligible activity and what they're going to prioritize. So I wish I had I hope everybody has the link to the DHS website, tennessee.gov. But if not, if anybody would like that information, we can send that out via email afterwards. But all the information, of course, is available also on United Way's homepage. Okay, well, I guess unless anybody else has something, we will call it a day. And I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday. We will meet up again, not next Friday, but the following Friday, August 21st, I believe, is the week after next. So stay tuned. We're not sure what our program will be, but I'm sure it will be something interesting, and we will keep you posted. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And again, happy to have you here. And as always, if you need anything from Arts Build or comments or suggestions, feel free to reach out to James or any of us, and we will continue to connect and be in touch. So thank you all. Have a great day.